Hello everybody, welcome back to the Wild Archive. So today we're going to do things a little bit differently today. We're kind of going to, it's kind of like a chill day, and I wanted to do something a little fun, and we'll probably talk about other stuff. You know, I kind of wanted to talk about maybe some cryptids, maybe some conspiracy theories and whatnot, but what I wanted to do was, if anybody knows what ChatGPT is, I'm sure everybody, knows about it. But if you don't, it's an app that you can download, and it's AI ran. And what you can do is you can go on there and ask it any type of question. You know, if you're doing homework or something, you can ask it. Let's say you're doing homework about history or something. You can ask it specific questions, like really specific questions about that topic, and it'll give you them, and it's really cool. And not only that, though, you can tell it to write me a story about a homeless person, who becomes a famous chess player or something ridiculous like that, and it will do that for you. It'll give you characters, it'll give you a plot, to the story and everything, and then it may give you a short story, but then what you can do is you can add more, make it longer, you can add more details, add more characters and plots and whatnot. And it's a really useful tool. And I'm learning Spanish, so it really helps me with learning Spanish. And it tells you what words you can use and how to conjugate verbs and everything, and it's a really, really useful app. So I'm sorry if anybody can hear that. We have dogs and stuff, so if you can hear barking, that's what that is. But yeah, anyway, so we're gonna go on ChatGPT, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make up like stories, scenarios, and see how, see what ChatGPT gives us. And we're gonna be sticking to like the scary, spooky, mysterious type of theme for these stories. So let's go on ChatGPT here, and let's just let me think. Okay, so let's okay, I got a good one. So I don't have any of these like pre-written down or anything. We're just kind of making it up out of the blue. So and you can just type in whatever you want. So I'll tell ChatGPT, okay, make me a story. Make me a story. Let's do short stories. So make me a short story about a detective, a detective who, a detective who is trying to solve, a detective who is trying to solve a case about a murder. About a murder that involves a cryptid. So I put, make me a short story about a detective who is trying to solve a case about a murder that involves a cryptid. And then you can put make the story, make it, make it, mysterious, spooky, etc. So, okay, so, and then click enter. And ChatGPT is gonna, from the AI, it's gonna generate a story that's never been created before. It's just going on what I put down, what I wanted it to, have in the story and everything. So, and this is pretty cool that it can do that. Okay, so what it came up with is, the title is called The Hollow Pines Case. Okay. So, here we go. Detective Claire Voss didn't believe in monsters. 20 years with the state police had taught her that every shadow had a source and every scream had a suspect. But Hollow Pines was different. The town was small, buried deep in the Appalachian backwoods, surrounded by ancient forest locals call the Whispering Pines. When the sheriff called her in, he said just 2 words. It happened again. The victim was found in their old mining trail, throat ripped open, eyes wide in terror. No footprints, no signs of struggle, just claw marks in the bark, high up, as if something massive had climbed down from the trees. Locals whispered about the Howler, a creature that said emerged only in October, seen by drunk hunters and frightened children. 8 feet tall, hunched eyes that glowed like embers. Clara rolled her eyes at first, until she saw the body. Blood frozen, flesh torn in ways that didn't match any known animal. And the smell, pungent, wet earth and something older. Claire dug deeper, found similar cases stretching back a century. Always in October, always the same injuries, always the same silence from the trees. One night, she returned to the crime scene alone. The wind whispered like voices. Her flashlight flickered, then a growl, not from beside her, but above. She looked up. 2 red eyes blinked in the dark. A shape unfolded from the pine, massive and wrong, limbs too long, jaw too wide. Clara ran, but in her panic, she dropped her recorder. It was recovered 2 days later, her final words crackling through the static. It's real! It's watching! Don't come here! Her body was never found. And every October, someone goes missing in Hollow Pines. Interesting. And then ChatGPT will, after the story, it'll ask you, do you want me to adapt the podcast script with dialogue? That's not a podcast script, but it'll ask you stuff like, do you want to adapt the story? Do you want to add more detail and everything? And it'll add more detail and it'll make it longer and everything. But let's do another one. How about, because we're staying on the spooky mystery, side theme of things. So, okay, let's do this. Let's do, give me a story about, missing 411. If anybody knows what that is. Missing 411 is like, the people who have gone missing, like in national parks and everything, and there's not really an explanation, for their disappearances. Let's see, okay, missing 411 with mystery elements. Let's do okay, here, let's make it fun. Let's say like park ranger goes missing. Park ranger this is kind of tedious, I know, but We'll get through it. See, a park ranger goes missing. Okay. Okay. This one is called Echoes in Black Hollow. So it's kind of funny. It's got hollow in it too. The other story had hollow in it too. So, okay, here we go. Black Hollow National Park was remote, and dense, and old. Older than the trees, some said. Locals warned visitors to stick to the trails and never stay after dark. Ranger Ellie Harper didn't believe in superstitions. After 10 years patrolling the forest, he thought he'd seen it all until October 17th. That morning, Harper left the ranger station to check a report of strange animal tracks near Granite Ridge. He radioed in at 9:13 a.m. Weird pattern out here. Looks like hooves, but wrong. I'll fall for it a bit. He never called back. Search teams found his truck at the trailhead, keys still in the ignition. His radio was on the seat. They combed the woods for 10 days. Dogs picked up nothing. No scent, no broken branches, not even footprints. As if Harper had stepped off the trail and vanished into thin air. Then came the tapes. 3 days after the search ended, a package arrived at the ranger station. No return address. Inside was a small cassette labeled Black Hollow, Tape 1. The audio was filled with static, but under it, a voice. Eli's voice. I followed the tracks into the hollow. The air feels heavy. Trees are different here. Bark is black. Almost like it's burned, but there's no fire. I don't think I'm alone. Rustling. A low hymn like wind, but rhythmic. Then whispering. Dozens of voices overlapping, speaking in no known language. The last words on the tape. I tried to turn back. The path is gone. The forest moved. Something's watching me. That was a year ago. Since then, hikers near Granite Ridge reported the same thing. The hum. The sudden vanishing of trails. And once, a man's voice, faint in the trees, repeating, "The forest moved! The forest moved!" No one talks about Black Hollow after dark. Interesting. Interesting. So yeah, that's just a little bit of what ChatGPT can do. You know, it can write you your own stories. Let me see. Let's do another one. How about this time? Let's do a cryptid. Let's do like a skinwalker. So that'll be fun. So give me a story about skinwalkers. Yeah. Skinwalkers and the desert. Oh, here. Okay, let's add some stuff to it too. UFOs. Let's just add a whole bunch of stuff. UFOs. Other cryptids. Yeah, okay, let's make this interesting. Oh, okay. This one's called The Night the Desert Screamed. The desert outside of Red Mesa, Arizona is quiet. So quiet that when something breaks the silence, it doesn't go unnoticed. On August 3rd, 1977, the entire night sky lit up over the Navajo Nation. Locals saw it, a massive, silent craft hovering just above the butts. Buttes, its lights pulsing in patterns no aircraft should make. Then came the blackout. Phones died, radios cut to static, dogs howled, and one by one, people began reporting sightings. They just weren't seeing UFOs anymore. They were seeing creatures, wrong-looking coyotes walking upright, deer with human faces and shadowy figures mimicking voices from the dark. Old-timers said it was the skinwalkers, ancient beings cursed with dark power. But this night was different. They didn't just lurk at the edges, they hunted. Ranger Mateo Yetzi was on patrol when it all started. He called into dispatch. "There's something out here. Looks like a man. But it moved like it's broken. Eyes glowed red. The radio cut off. They found his truck the next morning, still running. Inside, his badge, his shotgun, and deep claw marks across the windshield. On the inside. At the same time, a strange storm formed over Dead Horse Point. Locals described a beam of blue light firing into the cannon, and then the screams. After that night, the Navajo police and tribal elders met in secret. Word spread of an ancient prophecy that one day the sky beings will return. Not to observe, but to cleanse the earth of things born of unnatural power. They called it the Purge of the Twisted. Since that night, no skinwalker sightings have been reported. No one. Not one. But sometimes, people still hear the echo of something walking on two legs across the desert at night, mimicking voices. A warning, maybe. Or something that escaped the purge. And up above, high in the stars, a faint blue light still pulses over Red Mesa, waiting. That's interesting. That's a cool story. It kind of reminds, if anybody has watched Ancient Aliens, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And I'm kind of curious, does anybody like watching Ancient Aliens? I don't watch it a lot, but I watch it every now and then because it is interesting and it captures my attention because it's strange and unknown, and some of the stuff, some of the theories that they have are kind of wild. I don't believe aliens or sky people or extraterrestrial, if you will, built the pyramids. To be honest, I think us as humans, we built the pyramids. You just give our species credit, because we've done a lot of accomplishing things when it comes to building great monuments and structures. I mean, look at Rome, look at ancient Rome. We built all those temples and monuments and statues to gods and rulers of the empire and everything. I mean, look at the pyramids in Mexico, the Aztec and the Mayan. They built all those. There's just a whole bunch of. Humans are really intelligent when it comes to building stuff, and I think we could have done it 4,000 years ago with the technology that they had. I think they could have done it. But yeah, let's kind of stay on the topic of aliens. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Roswell, New Mexico. That's kind of where aliens started, for America at least, I think. But I know other cultures, other nations, if you will, they have their own their own sightings, if you will, of aliens and spacecraft and everything, and it's just kind of crazy how because I don't know if people in America had sightings like that or encounters before Roswell. I've heard of some, maybe in the 1800s, but I wonder if people during like, the Revolutionary War, or maybe during, the Native Americans who were here before us, in America. And, I wonder if they had any encounters. It's kind of interesting, and then, like Roswell in 1947, they said, everybody said, oh, what is this flying object in the sky? And the military came out and said, oh, it's just a weather balloon. It's just a weather balloon. That's all. It's nothing extravagant. But I disagree. I bet you differ. I think it was extraterrestrial. And that's just my opinion, But I think that and I think maybe at one point the aliens were or even the spacecraft that they found, because I don't think that was the only time that they came down to Earth, but to like the United States. But I think they had the aliens in the spacecraft over at Area 51 for a while. And then I think eventually maybe they moved it somewhere else, because I know now Area 51 used to be a myth. They never claimed it to be true until finally, like in 2015 or something, the military finally came out and said that yes, this military base does exist. Even after years before that, people were saying, yeah, it does exist. And, but yeah. Let's see, let's talk about some alien abductions. I know there's one, I'm pretty sure well, hold on. Let's ask before we get there and talk about people's encounters and abduction. Let's ask, what is an alien abduction? Well, some people say that it's being taken, they're taken unwillingly by entities against their will. A lot of them report seeing a bright light. They experience missing time and maybe being paralyzed. They can't move. And, of course, being experimented on. Implants. And then, like, communication. So there's a lot of people saying that, the aliens speak telepathically. So, but yeah, okay, let's start with this case. Now, I already know of this case, the Betty and Barney Hill case, 1961. I already know of it, but for those who don't know, it's a pretty, I don't know if it's the most popular encounter, alien abduction, but it's one of them. So they were driving through New Hampshire, and they said they lost several hours. And they later recall being taken aboard a craft and examined. And I guess Betty drew a star map under hypnosis. And it's crazy because later on it matched the Zeta Reticuli. It's a star system. It's a real star system. That's interesting. And Travis Walton, I never heard of this one, 1975, abducted in front of a logging crew. Oh, no, okay, yeah, I have heard of this one, yeah, because they made a movie about it. And I've seen documentaries about it too. But yeah, the guy was working, with the logging crew, and then everybody seen like a light, and he got abducted. Well, and I can't remember if everybody saw it or just him. But I know he said he saw it, and he got abducted. And 5 days later, he returned, and the police were trying to find out what happened. And at first, they were saying like the other logging men like killed him, murdered him, and but there was no evidence of that, because he eventually returned, and he said what happened. He said, they abducted me, and that's a very interesting case too. I've seen the movie also. The Pascagoula abduction, 1973. I haven't heard of that one. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker of Mississippi claimed robotic creatures took them aboard a UFO. Wow, they said they passed lie detector tests and were visibly shaken. Well, yeah, I would be too. Now, those are some abductions, and let's talk about some common patterns that we see among abductees. So, for some reason, a lot of these abductions, occur in isolated areas. The woods, highways, bedrooms. And a lot of them occur at night too. At nighttime. Missing time is a major symptom. I've heard of that. Missing time. People lose hours they can't explain. Sleep paralysis. I think I've heard that before. Definitely strange symbols or implants discovered later. Yeah, I have heard that. That later on, after they're abducted and back on Earth or whatever, they'll have these strange symbols on their hands or on their neck or whatever, wherever. And I know a lot of them do have dreams, PTSD and stuff. Let's talk about some theories behind abductions. So, number one, psychological explanations. It could just, who knows? They could just be faking it. It could just be someone who suffers from sleep paralysis. All their memories are not there. Trauma is a big one. Maybe they just want attention. Or it could be, mass hysteria. Everybody's lying about it. There are no UFOs. There's no aliens. Everybody's just going crazy. Studies on human biology, genetics. Hybrid programs, maybe done by the government. Oh yeah, military abductions. That wouldn't surprise me. That would not surprise me. And I bet the military has done this. Well, I know they've done this. The CIA, they've definitely done this. But some believe governments simulate alien abductions using tech and hypnosis to cover secret experiments. Yeah. Evidence and skepticism. Physical evidence. Scars, implants, EMF readings and locations, polygraph tests and regressions. A lot of the evidence is anecdotal. Or that's what critics say. A lot of the evidence is anecdotal or subconscious fabrication. I want to ask, has anybody experienced a UFO encounter or been abducted? Has anybody ever experienced missing time? Do you believe you've had contact or dreams that maybe feel too real? I'd like to know. You guys let me know your answers. I ain't gonna lie. I've never been abducted by extraterrestrials or government. as far as I know. Now, maybe it could have happened, and maybe they wiped my memory. So, I mean, I wouldn't know anyway. But as far as I know, to my knowledge, that's never happened to me. But when it comes to seeing UFOs, I have had one encounter. And I'll tell you it. So, me and my sister were driving from the West Coast. I was helping her drive from the West Coast back to where I live in the Midwest. And I was driving, right? And we had just crossed into Arizona from California. And we had just crossed. And because I remember, crossing out the border and everything. It was a starry night. I remember seeing all the stars in the sky and seeing planets, in the sky. And I remember seeing this one planet. Well, at least I thought it was. It was like orange. Now, I know Mars. That's what it looked like. It looked like Mars. The planet Mars, is orange, reddish orange, and you can see it. And so that's what I thought it was. And so I'm like, oh, cool, Mars, I can see. But as I'm driving, I see out of my peripheral the orange ball, because it was stationary. It was like a planet. It was stationary. It was sitting there. All of a sudden, I kid you not, it came down. It came down from the sky. And it went behind the horizon. Because in the desert, you can see, when you're out there in the middle of the desert, there's no light. There's no man-made light but the stars and the moon. And I'm pretty sure the moon was out because it was really lit. And I could see this thing go behind the horizon of the mountains, in the distance. Like miles. You can see miles away in the distance. And I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. And I told my sister, I'm like, that's a UFO. That's a UFO. And I think it was. Now, maybe it was a military ship or something, not space, but like military craft or whatever, maybe. And I'm sure, I know there's stuff like that out there. And, you got Area 51 and you got a whole bunch of other bases and air bases and whatnot. And, so maybe it could have been, maybe, but that's what I saw. And, I'm pretty familiar with aviation, and I know, aircraft are supposed to have, nav lights and strobe lights and stuff, but I'm not sure if certain military craft don't have to have them. Obviously the stealth bomber, they don't, it's a stealth bomber, so they're not going to have that stuff. And maybe some other military stuff. I don't know. But, if it did have a light, it was orange, because I could see it. But, who knows? But yeah, so, I just wanted to talk about, aliens and, abductions and everything today. And, let me know how you guys like this episode. We're definitely going to talk about more cryptids. Maybe I want to do an episode, on Bigfoot, an episode on skinwalkers, an episode on, El Chupacabra, an episode on Loch Ness Monster. All the basic, all the main cryptids that everybody knows about. So, and we'll talk about the paranormal and everything. I'm just starting this podcast, The Wild Archive, so let me know, and give me your feedback and everything. But thanks a lot for listening, guys, and I'll see you on another episode.